It never comes a dime. Then people just amaze me. Week 2 is upon us here in the NFL season, and Brandon Beastie Combs has released his power rankings, which we'll be going over here in a minute. I can tell him that it is complete trash because I will give him reasons why it is complete trash. But we have shared our power rankings on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Shared it with our trash talk groups. If you guys are not a part of the trash talk groups, the link is in the description there. Join one. Talk your shit. But when people say this team doesn't belong there, that team doesn't belong there, and then when I ask you where does this or who belongs there, and you say, oh, just that team doesn't belong in the top 10, give me a reason. I may agree with you 100%. I agree that the Raiders are not a top 10 team. I agree. But when we say, then who belongs there, and you just say, oh, the Raiders just don't belong there, give some validation to your points. Don't just say this team doesn't belong there, that team doesn't belong there. Give some backing to your points. I'm a type of person where I will challenge you. Not because I disagree with you, just because I want to hear your thoughts. I want you to critically think through the process. Why do the Raiders not belong in the top 10? Why do not the Vikings belong in the top 10? Why don't the Bengals belong in the top 10? Give me some type of reasoning besides just because, just because they don't. So I'm a big fan of these trash talk groups because people get in there and they get in their feelings and they get butthurt, and it is all fun and games until somebody starts to cry and starts posting pictures of like your mom. But when I say, why doesn't X team belong in there? Tell me why. Why don't the Las Vegas Raiders belong in the top 10? Because they're just not a very good team. They're overrated, and they're the Las Vegas Raiders at the end of the day. And they lost. I'm just saying. Cue that intro. Are you ready for the best damn radio show on the planet? Man Hour Nation, rise up.
You don't want to be every time, no. I would like to personally welcome you to Man Hour After Dark. Say that thing. Why I bring you the host, Mike, Buck, and Cone. You know who coming to the stage. Sports talk than what you about to hear right here. I second that.
Go. You know that it's us when we talking about sports. Giving you facts on the field to the core. Tune in, we need the support. 1 hour too short, then listen some more. On all your stations, not dropping no music. Stripes like Adidas, but Nike just do it. Down 4 in the 4th, we go for the win. Michael 2 seconds, we taking it in. Buck, Mike, and Combs, you know what's going on. Man, now we're After Dark, no LA, we the big spark. No 4th and inches won't cut short. Got the best talking, it's all sports. Buzzing more than buzzer beaters. We coming live all through your speakers, go.
Let it build. Look at that black screen and just love life. Combs says computer is acting up. I'll bring some common sense once this thing is done updating. Lies. What is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckasha here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the merchandise page. The Beastie merch is fresh and clean. I just ordered some more Beastie merch. I got a Beastie hoodie on the way with the claws and Beastie. Ooh, I'm excited to put that thing on and represent how a real beast should operate, Beastie Combs. Also, the blog section is out there, guys. We just hired a Buffalo Bills blog writer. So, Alpha Rob, you're a Buffalo's Phil guy. This man is even bigger Buffalo Bills fan than you are. I'm telling you, this guy writes like 20 blogs a week. Man, this guy is crazy about the Buffalo Bills. Crazy about him. But anyways, guys, today is Tuesday. As you see here in the comments, Combs' computer is acting up, and he'll bring some common sense once the show is done happening. But we do got a great show for you guys lined up today. If and Then Tuesday is coming up. Simple as that. If we people give us if statements, and then me and Combsy answer them with some then statements. These are all from @manhour_Twitter or manhour_Buck on the old Twitter machine. So be sure to hit me up on Twitter if you guys ever have an if and then statement. But tonight, if you are here in the chat on live, youtube.com/manhour, hit me up in there. And if we have time for it, we'll get over to it. But guys, starting next week, we are going to switch some things up here at Man Hour. We are going to be starting an hour earlier. We will be starting at 7 p.m. East Coast time starting next Monday. So if you guys would be most inclined, set your calendars, set your timers on your phone, 7 p.m. East Coast time, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain time, 4 p.m. West Coast. So like 1 o'clock Hawaiian time. Set it. Love it. Why is your voice so deep? If I didn't know you, I think you sounded tough. My voice is very deep, Combsy. When I get in the zone, I concentrate. The stutter goes out the window, and the true Buck Nasty comes out. But guys, as we're waiting on Beastie Combs here, let's go through these terrible power rankings that he has. As I got a cough again. Excuse me. So Beastie is our power rankings guy for the 2022 NFL season, and he has officially put out his week 2 power rankings. And they are questionable, just to say the least. And when I say questionable, I mean coming in at number 10 right off the bat, Philadelphia Eagles. The 10th best, most powerful team in the NFL. What? They're not even the best team in the division. It's still the Cowboys, even without Dak. Because we all know Jimmy G is going to the Cowboys in the end once Dak goes on the IR. But hey, that's here nor there. I'll give you a pass on that one because the Eagles did beat the Lions. Barely. So that makes them a top 10 team, right? So therefore that means that the Detroit Lions have to be at number 11. Coming in at number 9, the 0-1 Las Vegas Raiders. Boy, they looked great on Sunday, didn't they? Looked real good. Who is better than the Raiders? The Chicago Bears. That's who better than the Raiders. The Chicago Bears. Coming in at number 8. 4 turnovers, 7 sacks. Blocked PAT, lost in overtime to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals coming in at number 8 on these very questionable power rankings. Brought to you by Beastie Brady Combs at manhour_Combs. If you guys want to hit him up on Twitter or join one of the chat groups and talk trash to him. Tell him how bad these power rankings are. Number 7, starting to get a little bit better, but still way too low. This team won 44-20, if I'm not mistaken, off the top of my head. They had 66 plays with 33 first downs. So every other play, they got a first down. And that is that's right, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs coming in at number 7. Number 6. This team actually did win on Sunday, so hey. But they dropped, I believe they had them at number 3 in week 1, dropped down them to number 6. The the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my bad. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers they just didn't look very good on Sunday. Like, I don't know, just something seemed just like a little bit off. I don't know. A little bit off. Number 5, Minnesota Vikings finally got something right. The Minnesota Vikings are a very, very good team. They pretty much dominated the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers was 195 yards, 1 interception, 4 sacks. So, yeah, the Vikings are definitely there. And, of course, the Packers always struggle opening week. So, we'll kind of see where it is week 2. Coming in at number 4, the Baltimore. Sorry, I just peeked my mouth a little bit. The Baltimore Ravens at number 4? What? The Baltimore Ravens at number 4? Okay. Number 3. Fresh off a loss as well to the arguably one of the best teams in the NFL. The Los Angeles Rams. I believe they're at number 1, dropped down to number 3. That's not terrible, right? I mean, coming at number 2, the Chargers. What? The Chargers? Okay. At least they won. Chargers were at number 8 or 9, I believe, Combs, last week, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me on that. And then, of course, coming in at number 1, the Buffalo Bills. Arguably the best team in the NFL right now. I actually did a short on them saying that they're Super Bowl bound. Like, I was jumping on the bandwagon 100%. I already got a Von Miller jersey on order for my wife. But hey, so just to recap Combsy's top 10 here, the Eagles coming in at number 10. The Raiders are coming in at number 9. The Bengals at number 8. The Chiefs at number 7. The Buccaneers at number 6. The Vikings at number 5. Ravens coming in at number 4. The Rams coming in at number 3. Chargers at number 2. And the Buffalo Bills, are coming in at number 1. So tell me if you guys agree with Combs' rankings here or not. As he pops into the chat here, let me go ahead and copy this solo link, jump over to guest, right-click on that, go down to properties, color out that URL, put a new URL in, and bada bing, bada boom. Combsy, you are in there. What's up, big guy?
What is going on? Do I sound a little bit better than I did pre-show?
Yeah, I think it's my headphones, man. So I think I'm gonna have to get some new headphones, to be honest with you. So, right now
you
sound
made me
good.
restart my computer because your headphones suck.
Well, your Mac suck too. So I just want to put that out there.
I think that you just wanted some time to try to trash my perfect power rankings.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and jump into these comments here. Don't you question my power rankings? Stop it. You can't drop talented teams out of the top 10 just because of one loss. They have a 0% winning percentage in the season. I just want to point that out there.
All right, so
the Chiefs beat a very overrated Cardinals team who I was very, very wrong about. And Michelle sounds, you both sound fine. How about, do I look fine too, baby? Too soon? Oh. Cheers.
Oh, God. She's going to tell me to kick you out of the wedding.
So tell me about those power rankings. First things first, let's talk about the Arizona Cardinals. Are they really overrated, or are they just missing DeAndre Hopkins?
No, they're overrated. I watching that game and watching Kansas City. I mean, they couldn't get any penetration on the defensive side. That loss of Chandler Jones, I think, is bigger than what we really thought it was. And I don't. There was just something about watching that team and watching the way that they just so underperformed, right? And then I'm watching Kyler Murray, who has made me a believer. I wasn't a believer when Kyler Murray came in. But listening to the announcers talk really started to give me pause for concern because they were starting to say the same things that I was saying about him coming out, right? They're saying, well, how did he not see that receiver over there? And one of the announcers says, well, it's tough to see that receiver when you're only 5'5".
Not wrong.
And there's a lot of missed reads. There was a lot of maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this is overreaction Tuesday for me. Maybe I just, didn't read it. And maybe Kansas City really is just that good. But I think that this was a case of Kansas City coming out and taking advantage of a very overrated football team and maybe looking better than what they would have, because if they had come out and put on this display and beat like the Jacksonville Jaguars or the New York Jets or a team that we expected to be terrible, we would have been like, well, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do, right? But they came out and beat the Cardinals, a team that a lot of people think are a playoff caliber team. So it looks a lot better, right? But what if the Cardinals aren't that playoff caliber team? So for me, the Chiefs hopped into the top 10. The Cardinals hopped out of the top 10. And we're going to get another good look at it this week, right? The Chiefs got the Raiders this week, right?
I think we got Bengals on Thursday night.
Oh, the Bengals on Thursday night. So,
yeah,
there's a tough test. I mean, the Bengals are going to be hungry coming off that overtime loss. They're a team, again, I know they're 0-1. I had them in the top 10. It's hard to take out the AFC champion, even after a week 1 loss. Hard to knock them out of the top 10. I'd have to see if they lose again to Kansas City this week. They're probably out of the top 10. But, I mean, who are you going to put in place? Who right now that is not in the top 10 is better than the Raiders or the Bengals? Who would you put up against them?
So just to clarify, I did misspeak. You are right. They do play the Chargers on Thursday night. They don't actually play the Bengals till like way later in the season.
Yeah, so they've got a tough test. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a real tough test for the Chargers.
Yeah, so
for the Chiefs.
So two teams that I would possibly put in above the Raiders and the Bengals in the top 10, one of which being the Pittsburgh Steelers, a team that beat the Cincinnati Bengals, the team that I actually have winning the AFC North. Even though TJ Watt might be out for the rest of the season, the Steelers are still a pretty good team. They are literally a quarterback away from being like a Super Bowl caliber team, right? And I don't know if Mitchell Trubisky is that answer yet. I mean, only time will tell. Give us 3 or 4 weeks of some true tests there. And then looking at other teams that you don't have like in there, let's possibly look at the Commanders. They're not terrible by any means, but I think they're better than the Raiders.
Ooh.
That's
tough, man.
I mean, like the Saints looked pretty good over the weekend.
They look good in the fourth quarter.
Right.
They looked good in the fourth quarter, or the Falcons. They were playing the Falcons in the fourth quarter. So,
the Falcons, the team that we don't think they are, because like what you had them going 0-17 or 1-16, right? I mean, maybe they're better than what we thought.
Yeah, I thought that too for the first 3 quarters.
Right.
And then my boy, Jameis Winston went 13 of 16 for 212 yards, Buck, in the fourth quarter.
Or how about
in the fourth quarter?
How about this? Have the Miami Dolphins still. That Super Bowl caliber team, AFC team that everybody's loving. Exactly.
The Dolphins are overrated.
Yeah.
The Saints, I kind of flirted with the Saints a little bit. I do like the Saints. You know how big of a fan of Jameis Winston I am. I say when he's healthy and when they let him go, like they let him go in the fourth quarter of that game, he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. I flirted with putting them in there. At this point, I just couldn't, because to me, the Raiders are still better. You still got Devontae Adams over there. You still got, Derek Carr. You still got Hunter Renfrow. You still got a lot of weapons there. Plus, your defense is filthy. I think they need a little bit of time to gel. They've got to get it together quick, though, especially in this division. You don't have time to fall down 0-2 or 0-3. If you start falling down 0-2 or 0-3, you're not getting back up in this division.
Right. So let me ask you this question here, kind of just spitballing teams out there. Maybe something will stick. How about the Cleveland Browns? Yes, they don't have Deshaun Watson, their $250 million quarterback right now, but they beat a fairly decent Carolina team, and they still have a team. The Browns are still a good team. They still have Hunt. They still have Chubb. They have Amari Cooper. Their defense is damn good. Are we overlooking the Browns right now just because Deshaun Watson isn't there?
No, it's the same reason why I overlook the Steelers, right? Is because I'm looking at who's under center. And I don't trust who's under center for those two teams more than I trust Derek Carr or Joe Burrow to figure it out in week 2. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky. I watched him for 4 years. I kind of got a feel for what Mitch Trubisky is. I don't trust him. I don't trust, what the hell's his name over in Jacoby Brissett. I don't trust Jacoby Brissett in Cleveland. So for me, that's why they're going to have to do it a little bit more. Even if they win this week, both of those teams, I still might not have them in the top 10, depending on what goes on with the rest of the teams in the top 10. I still might overlook them just because of who's under center. The Green Bay Packers are one of those teams that I told you. Look, I think you're going to see it again this week, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit. But I think you're going to see the same thing that I told you this week, right? I said the Bears have a potential to go 3-1 or 4-0 to start the season.
Right.
They did what they did, and I don't even give me all this crap. You're lucky my computer wasn't working and I couldn't do the shock news of the day because I was going to do my rant. All this crap about, the weather helped the Bears win. Buck, can I ask you a question? Did you see any of that game?
I did. I actually have NFL Plus, so I watched all of it.
Okay. When you were watching, did it just stop raining when the Bears had the ball, or
it actually did? I believe in the third quarter, the sun shined down on Justin Fields, and he was magic. It was like the Angels in the outfield look, No, I'm totally kidding.
Okay.
No, it definitely
was just raining when the Niners had it.
Right.
Yeah, and so everybody's like, the Bears, what do you mean? They were playing under the same conditions. It was two teams in the same conditions. One performed better than the other. Yeah. Now, look, Justin Fields had a terrible second quarter. A terrible second. Through that first half, I was like, oh, no. like, here we go again. And then the second half happened, and we saw adjustments made. We saw Justin Fields turn it on. We saw him start to use his legs more. We saw him get more comfortable and get more confident. And I think you're going to see that again this weekend. So the Green Bay Packers, for those of you wondering, hey, well, how come the Green Bay Packers, even though they lost the game, why aren't they in the top 10? They still got Aaron Rodgers. The Green Bay Packers are going to have a really bad season, and I've been saying it, and it's not just because I'm a Bears fan. It's because it's the truth. They have no weapons. They can't pass protect, and Aaron Rodgers is getting really, really angry really, really fast. That kid that dropped the first play of the game, that had it in his hands for the touchdown, Aaron Rodgers didn't target him again until the fourth quarter when the game was over.
Right. So
he is not going to give the guys the looks that he gave Devontae Adams. He doesn't trust any of his wide receivers.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue into our Manscaped if and then statement of the night here, Combs. So each Tuesday we do if and then statements. It's pretty cut and dry. We get if statements from the fans, and then we give them thens to round out the question. So this is going to be the first one of the night, Combs. If Aaron Rodgers does not start to get protection from the offensive line in the Green Bay Packers, then what?
Then they're going to be worse than I thought already. On top of having no weapons, having no pass protection is going to be a long season for the Green Bay Packers, because you're not going to be able to get Aaron Jones going if you can't get your passing game going, which does not bode well for me, because I selected Aaron Jones in the first round of like 2 or 3 of my drafts because I thought he was going to have a big season. And it doesn't bode well. I don't like what they looked like this weekend. I don't like the posture and the way that I hear Aaron Rodgers talking after the game. I don't like the look, because I don't think, for one, I said this already, and I said it when I was doing the show with Wyatt, the fantasy show a couple weeks ago with Wyatt. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to play football anymore. I think he's really done with the game. I think he got his $50 million a year for the next 2 years, and he's going to ride out that contract. He's going to collect every bit of that $100 million before he walks off in the sunset. But he's going to have 2 really, really bad seasons. 2 really bad seasons, because the Green Bay Packers did not build around him. They did not do anything to get him weapons, and they gave him so much money that they can't afford to give him any more weapons.
Right.
The Green Bay Packers are going to have a down year, and if they can't pass protect for Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be worse than what we thought.
Yeah, and if they cannot pass protect for Aaron Rodgers or protect him in general on or off the field, we are definitely going to see Aaron Rodgers ride off into the sunset after this season. I think he is prepared to basically chalk this season up as just an L, and moving forward, be a host of Jeopardy, do all these guest appearances shows that like he's doing. I've seen him on, Pardon My Take, the Pat McAfee show, Barstool Sports, right? He has been on countless podcasts, and he looks higher than a French whore, and it's just like he is just smoking dope, eating shrooms, and just loving life. And and then if we look at Aaron Rodgers' past career, yes, the first 3 seasons he did not play at all, very sparingly. But beyond that, from 2008 till currently, he has only missed, Combs, just 10 games over his career. He is 38 years old right now. If he continues to get 4 sacks a game and interceptions and stuff like that, he can maybe only play 6 or 7 games this season, because Aaron Rodgers will not throw double-digit interceptions. He might fake a leg injury or a back injury before that happens.
I don't think he's going to have to fake anything, Buck. There were times that he got hit against the Vikings. I didn't think he was getting back up.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for Aaron Rodgers' body to roll over and his head to stay in the same spot. Like, he was getting murdered. I have never seen Aaron Rodgers get hit the way he was getting hit this weekend against Minnesota. Now, I said this is Minnesota's division to win. I think Minnesota is a top team in the NFC. I really do. I think they're that good. I think they're that talented. Justin Jefferson is a freak.
Right.
That dude is a freak. You go in, there's no way There is no way the Packers went in there and did not game plan to stop Justin Jefferson. And he still went off for 182 yards and was running wild all over him. And that guy cannot be stopped. This Minnesota Vikings team is for real. I thought they were going to murder Aaron Rodgers, and I was actually there. I was all in for it. I was rooting for it.
So let me ask you this question here, just because of all the controversy that has happened with Aaron Rodgers over the last couple seasons, and it seemed like Devontae Adams has really been his only supporter on the team. Do you think the team is just like, F you, Rodgers, get the hell out of here, and that's why the offensive line isn't blocking as well as it did this past year? That's why the receivers are dropping the ball. That's why the defense gave up 23 and 184 yards to Jefferson.
It's very hard. Look, to be in the NFL is very hard. To have an elongated career in the NFL is even harder. And there is no way that a guy is going to risk his career just because he doesn't like one player on the team. You're going to play hard, and you're going to hope that either A, this guy leaves, or B, you get traded, or if it's your contract season, you get to go elsewhere so you don't have to play with him anymore. But there's no way that this is like a mutiny or anything like that on anybody. I just think that they're just not that good, Buck. I really do. And Buck, I've been saying this for months, haven't I?
You have been saying, I believe you have been going like 7-10, if I'm not mistaken, if not 6-11. Like, it was a pretty down year this year. So
7-10.
Yeah. So like, I definitely see what you're saying, but understand this. I have been in a situation where I did not like XYZ player. He was the biggest freaking douchebag in the world. Right. And I play just subconsciously, you play a little less hard. A ball that you could have dove for and like got it. You don't dive quite as hard. Not intentionally, but subconsciously, right? Let's look at the Dallas Cowboys a couple years ago when they had Andy Dalton there, right? When Dak went down and Andy Dalton came in, the Dallas Cowboys seemed like not to be a very good team, right? They just weren't all there. And then DiNucci, he came in. They started playing a little bit harder, right? Like a little bit rallying around him, helping him up off the turf, right? We saw that hit Andy Dalton. We thought he was dead. Yeah. Nobody helped him up. Not one person helped him up off the turf. DiNucci, they threw wind at him and he blew over. And they're like, oh, right. I mean, like, you just play a little bit harder for people that you like. It is not intentionally, it's subconsciously. And I think subconsciously right now, the Green Bay Packers just don't like Aaron Rodgers. That's what it comes down to. Subconsciously, I'm not going to lay my life on the line for a guy that I don't like, that is high all the time and is looking for jeopardy or something.
If that's what's going on, then those aren't players that I want on my team anyway. I'll say that much, but I'll also say, can you blame them? Can you blame them for not liking the way Aaron Rodgers has handled the last couple of seasons?
No, because you saw what he said during training camp. Like, preseason is a complete waste of time. I don't need it. I've been in the league for so long. Yada yada yada. These young guys need work because they need this, and this, and this. Yeah, like, it will piss me off. Like I'm out here busting my ass at 110 degree weather 2 days for $500, and you're soaking up here $50 million in your AC'd house. Like, come on, F you, man.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's asinine. And again, I think that he is done with football. I really honestly truly believe that he went into these negotiations knowing that he was going to be handcuffing the organization, knowing that they were going to be stuck and have to pay him. And he was like, I'm going to collect this money. I'm not even going to be playing hard. Like, I truly believe that, because it would have happened one of two ways. Either A, the Green Bay Packers were going to do this and he was going to be there for the last 2 seasons. He was going to drain them for all $100 million. or B, he was going to go elsewhere, and he was going to be the MVP, Aaron Rodgers, and he was going to stick it to the Packers.
Yeah. Well,
either way, he was going to stick it to the Packers. I just think he's doing it this way because they paid him.
do you think he thought Devontae Adams was coming back? That's why he came back, though?
Rumor has it that he knew. They told him, hey, if we give you this, we can't afford Devontae. And he said, well, I want to get paid. Take care of me. That's the rumor. That's what I've heard.
Sheesh.
And that's why Devontae Adams was so happy to get out of Green Bay. And when he went to Las Vegas, that's why he said what he said, about Derek Carr.
Right.
Saying Derek Carr throws the tightest passes he's ever caught. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well,
that's it.
That's not true. Let's just be honest. That's just not
I
true.
know. I agree. Look, Aaron Rodgers, top 5 quarterback of all time. I don't care what anybody says about him. I'm a Bears fan. I hate the guy. I hate the Packers, but he's a top 5 quarterback all time. You have to respect the body of work and what he's done. He's a top 5 quarterback all time. That's 11-10 in the playoffs and 1-4 in NFC Championship games.
Yeah, with 1 Super Bowl. Don't forget about that.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah.
Just saying.
1 Super Bowl.
All right, so moving on here, Combs. Monday Night Football was quite the treat last night. I did pick the Seattle Seahawks to upset the Denver Broncos, and I was 100% right, and that's because Hatchet decided to go for a 65-yard field goal when you signed a $245 million quarterback for 5 years named Russell freaking Wilson, and he did not let Russ cook. So Combs, down 16-17, 30-some seconds odd left, 4th and 5. If Hatchet would have let Russ cook, then what?
It's the right call. It's the right call to go for the field goal in that point. If you go, look, Russell Wilson did not have a great game. If you go for that on 4th and 5 and you miss it, the game's done. At least you have a 50-50 chance of your kicker making that field goal. It had the distance. It just missed. He missed it wide left. I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. You put it on the leg of your kicker because it is the best chance you have of winning that game. Now, do you spike the ball? You can't even you can't even spike the ball. You've got to get in and you've got to run a play quick. To me, it was the right call. Now, I will say this is another thing that we're going back to that you and I both called when it happened. This was a terrible trade for the Denver Broncos.
Facts.
It was a terrible trade for the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson just got $250 million to get outplayed by Geno Smith. Got outplayed by Geno Smith. And Geno Smith completed 82% of his passes last night. 82% of his passes last night. This is the same Geno Smith that was at West Virginia and everybody was talking about him back in like 1995 when he got drafted, that he was going to be so damn good. The guy's been out of the league for basically 8 years.
He's been a backup.
He's been, right, but he's just like, no, he hasn't touched the field before last year when Russ got hurt.
Right.
He hadn't touched the field, and this guy came in and he's outplaying your $250 million quarterback that you traded for. Look, I said this when it happened. This was a bad trade. You gave up Noah Fant. You gave up, the quarterback isn't such a big deal because you didn't really give up much there. But you gained a guy who just, we've said it before, Russell Wilson's a first half quarterback. This is a guy who's good for about 7 to 8 games a year. And you put all your money and all your stake in him. If you go for it on 4th and 5, I don't even know if they make the 4th down play. They hadn't been doing and moving the ball all damn night. What makes you think they're going to do it on 1 down with no timeouts that they can't talk about?
What makes you think they're going to do that? $245 million over 5 years, 2 first-round picks, a quarterback, and Noah Fant.
Outplayed by Geno Smith, though.
They put all faith in Russell Wilson, and they publicly said, we don't trust you. We don't trust you to get 5 yards. Combs,
that's not what they did, Buck.
Yes, they publicly said, we don't trust you. It's 4th and 5. So, Combs, guess this. 63-plus yards field goals in the NFL over the last 20 years. Only 2 of them have been made. 2 out of 42 chances. So how is that a 50-50 chance that you're going to make that? That's like a 10% chance you're going to make
He
that.
had the leg on the kick.
But
He
did he
had the
make it?
leg. He just missed it left.
Okay.
He had plenty of leg on it.
Hey, I almost won the Powerball, but I just missed the Powerball by two numbers, right? I still missed
I hope
it,
you
right?
win the Powerball someday and then lose your ticket.
Yeah, I hope that too. That'd be freaking awesome, wouldn't it? But then let's look at the Denver Broncos. Combs, you said they weren't moving the ball. They had 420 total yards. On that last drive, the Seattle Seahawks were kind of on their heels. Fourth and 5, Russell Wilson can probably fall forward for at least 6. I mean, come on, you have to put faith in your $245 million quarterback that you spent tons of money on, 2 first-round picks, arguably a top 5 tight end in the league in Noah Fant. Like, a guy thought he was going to be good in Denver. Last night, he didn't look all that good because they had like 3 tight ends. I don't know where all those guys came from. But, hey, I mean, Hatchett, he might lose his job, Combs. Over this one choice, he might lose his job. There is head coachings out there that could possibly take his spot. And when you think about it, let's sit back and think about it. Let's ponder thoughts, right? Are you ready? Are you pondering these thoughts? Let's look no further than your New Orleans Saints old coach, Sean Payton. Sean Payton is out there for the picking. And this Hatchet mistake, 65-yard field goal to win the game when you have Russ freaking Wilson, might cost him his job. 100% might cost him his job, Combs.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Buck. I hear what you're saying. Look, first of all, a lot of those yards came in the first half. A lot of those yards that they had, I mean, they were moving the ball in the first half. They just had 2 really bad, untimely turnovers inside the 5-yard line by Melvin Gordon. And you know what Seattle fans were thinking during those 2 fumbles? Oh, sure, Russ. Now you want to run the ball from the 1. Like that's to have been what you were thinking. That had to have been what you were thinking.
Yeah.
But to me, it's still the right call. It's still the right call. And Russell Wilson wasn't upset by it. Russell Wilson said the same thing. It was the right call.
He's saying that because he has to support his rookie head coach.
No, I think it's the right call, Buck, because I don't know. You've got Jerry Jeudy, you've got Cortland Sutton, you do have weapons. You've got to trust your quarterback to make that play, especially that you just paid him $250. I do get where you're coming from, but I think I would have made the same call. I probably would have. They didn't have a timeout, right?
They did have a timeout because they let the time run all the way down to like 3 seconds left.
I thought he spiked it though.
They had a timeout still.
Oh no, You're right. They ran it down to 20 and called the timeout, and then, yeah, man.
Yeah, like, I mean, I see your point of it as well, but I don't have the Ravens kicker on my roster, right? What's his name? Freaking, you know who I'm talking about. What the fuck's his name?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Suck Up?
No, it's not Suck Up. Suck Up's for the Bucks. He used to be playing for the Chiefs. Damn it, what is the Ravens kicker's name? Like, anyways, he kicked 64-yard field goal last year that hit the upright and then bounced over to like beat the Lions. You don't have him on your roster, and you're at sea level. I mean, if you were at Mile High, 65-yard field goal, sure, all day long, right? But sea level in Seattle, come on, man. Like, that is not the right call.
Justin Tucker,
you're right.
But yeah, look, it's a tough call. Like I'm not gonna dog the guy for making that call, especially when I'm watching my quarterback get paid to get outperformed by Geno Smith. Like, I would lose confidence in you too. You know what I mean? Like Geno Smith finished this game with a better QBR, a better passer rating. Like, he completely outplayed Russell Smith. If I'm watching you get outplayed by Geno Smith, I'm not giving you an opportunity to go for it on 4th and 5. I'm just not. I would have kicked the ball too.
As we have Joe in the chat. Hey, Joe. These dudes are absolutely clueless. The latest Tomlin best coach in the NFL. These guys are frauds. Okay. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, Joe, where's your drunk dad? I'm kind of miss him a little bit. Anyways, moving on. Let's not get too carried away here, Combsies. Moving on. Let's move on to Trey Lance and the San Francisco 49ers taking on your Chicago Bears. So, Combs, Trey Lance did not look all that well in the Week 1 loss to the Chicago Bears. He went 13 for 28 for 164 yards and 1 interception. And obviously to the loss to the Bears, you can blame it on the rain, you can blame it on the wind, you can blame it on being on the road. But in the end, he did not look good. So, Combs, Week 2 matchups are coming up. If the 49ers lose and Trey Lance does not look good in Week 2, then what?
Then nothing. I mean, he's going to get a chance in Week 3, Week 4, Week 5, Week 6, because Kyle Shanahan's ego is not going to allow him to go to Jimmy G. It's just not. Jimmy G is going to be resigned to be the backup until he gets traded. And I know I've heard people talk about the Dallas Cowboys now that Dak is out. There's no way the Cowboys aren't making that move because they're not going to put themselves in that situation for when Dak comes back. I think Jimmy G's just resigned to it. Like, he's not going to have an opportunity to be a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers because they're not going to go away from Trey Lance. They're going to give him every opportunity to fail as much as they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed. And it's just, it's what's going to happen. And they're one of those teams that if they don't figure it out, which, I mean, look, again, people are, the rain's why the 49ers look so bad. Well, the Bears were playing in the rain too. Okay, so there's no excuses there. You cannot tell me that the weather played a factor in how the one team outperformed another team in the same stadium. It's not a fair comparison to either team, right? Because if you're telling me the Bears, being a 1-0 team is more fluky than the Chargers being a 1-0 team because the Bears played in a shitty weather game, then I'm with you, right? Because they didn't play in the same weather, they didn't play in the same stadium, they didn't play the same team, they played different opponents. Then you can make that comparison. But these two teams played in the same stadium. Trey Lance is just not that guy. Trey Lance was all over the place. He was wildly inaccurate. He could not break containment, making wrong reads. Like, he looked terrible. Justin Fields looked the same way in the first half, but Justin Fields made adjustments. You didn't see that from Trey Lance. And those are the things Trey Lance needs to learn to be successful in this league.
So one thing that we talked about, Combs, weeks ago, maybe a month ago, is Trey Lance has not played a full season in the NFL and let alone in college since 2019. That is 3 years of not playing football, not at NFL speed, not college speed, practice speed, right? He has been on the practice field over and over and over. Yes, he did see the field, 2 games last year or maybe 1 game, and he did get a touchdown and maybe a rushing touchdown I like as well. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I do remember him finding the end zone and the crowd going crazy. But if they lose, the 49ers, that is, lose Week 2 versus the Seahawks, and Trey Lance looks bad, Combs, the San Francisco 49ers are looking at a very, very rough start because you are now 0-2. You are 0-1 in your division, and then you travel to Mile High to take on the Denver Broncos next. Tough place to play. Then you take on the reigning Super Bowl champions, the LA Rams. And then you travel across the United States and take on the Carolina Panthers. We are looking at an 0-5, if not an 0-6 start, because in the following week they travel back and they play the Falcons again. So if they start 0-2 and Trey Lance looks bad, by week 4, we will see Jimmy G at the helm in San Francisco 49ers. There is no reason why they shouldn't, because Jimmy G, when healthy, when he plays a full season, they go to the NFC Championship. The San Francisco 49ers have a good team. They have George Kittle. They have Deebo Samuel. They have a top 5 defense in the league. You have to capitalize on this right now. The window in the NFL, Combs, is so short. If you do not capitalize when the window is barely cracked open, you are going to be a crap organization. Look at the Houston Texans. Look at the Jets. Look at the Giants. They are crap organizations that didn't capitalize when they had the chance.
They're going to give Trey Lance till at least week 9. Till at least week 9.
So you're telling me they can go 0-9 with the Super Bowl caliber team, and the fans are going to be okay with that? You are smoking
the fans
crap.
aren't going to be okay. The fans are going to be clamoring for it after next week if they don't win. If you don't go and you don't beat the Seahawks, who look, we just talked about it. Geno Smith looked really good. If they come to San Francisco and they look the same way and you lose to them and Trey Lance gets outplayed by Geno freaking Smith, like, you are going to be talking about you need to change quarterbacks. They're already talking about in San Francisco. There's already fans. I've got friends who are 49ers fans. They're already talking about that they need to switch quarterbacks. But then you got like you said, you got the Broncos, the Rams, but then you get the Panthers and the Falcons. So, maybe you win 1 or 2 of those games. Maybe you don't. But even after that, it doesn't get any easier. You get the Chiefs, Rams, and Chargers. Like, after that Chargers game, if you're sitting at 2-7, then they're going to bring in Jimmy G. And here's why. Because by that point, they'll be out of it. So Kyle Shanahan knows that Jimmy G is not going to come in and all of a sudden take you to the playoffs, because that's not what he wants. That would destroy his ego. So he is not going to give Jimmy G that opportunity. I guarantee it.
Do you think Kyle Shanahan has that big ego that he would be willing to miss the playoffs just to start a second-year quarterback?
I do.
Do you think John Lynch is the general manager, right? The former Tampa Bay safety. Do you think he would allow that? Because he has built this team basically from the ground up. Like, they were in the grave and now they are a Super Bowl caliber team. Do you think
the only way they bring him in, maybe be like week 6 to let him play for 2 weeks so that they can trade him. They're now, if they don't go to the playoffs this year under Trey Lance, they will be fine with not making the playoffs at all, because then they will make adjustments and they will go out and find their quarterback. I think I'm with you. I think they already have their quarterback. Their quarterback is Jimmy G.
Yeah.
There's no reason why Jimmy G should be sitting on the bench behind Trey Lance. It should be the other way around, where you should have moved Trey Lance, because Jimmy G has done nothing but win with your organization. There's no reason why he should not be your starting quarterback.
I mean, his only downfall is he has been hurt. He's missed 15 or 16 games. I think it was. But was it 2020? Who wasn't hurt on the 49ers, right? It seemed like everybody.
They have 50-something injuries that year.
No, that was last year, wasn't it? Or was it the year before?
No, it was the year before.
Yeah, all right.
They went to the NFC title game last year.
Yeah, but either way, come on now. So, Combs, I actually did a short on this a while back. As soon as we found out that Dak will be missing, 8 weeks, I'm like, why doesn't the Dallas Cowboys make a play for Jimmy G? You put Dak on the IR, you get a year back on his contract, get Jimmy G on the down low, sign him, trade him, do whatever you want. Do you think Jimmy G to the Cowboys makes sense, and does that make them a playoff team better than Cooper Rush or whoever else their quarterback might be?
No, because you're not going to put your organization in that situation, because Jimmy G is a starting quarterback in this league. Jimmy G's a winning starting quarterback in this league. So now, if Jimmy G comes, what if Jimmy G takes the Dallas Cowboys to the Super Bowl?
That is very good trade bait for the Dallas Cowboys in Dak Prescott, because we heard rumors of Dak Prescott possibly being traded to Green Bay. Why not do it now?
I don't know. I don't see it happening. I mean, look, Jerry Jones will surprise the shit out of you. I mean, it's what Jerry Jones does. It would surprise me, though. It would very much surprise me if he is there. There are a lot of teams that could use Jimmy G. There's a lot of teams that Jimmy G makes a playoff caliber team. And then there are some teams that Jimmy G makes a Super Bowl caliber team.
Right.
Dallas Cowboys would probably be one of those teams. So yeah, would it be a smart trade? Yeah, absolutely. But would you put your quarterback situation in jeopardy? Sure. Because now you're going to have Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's probably going to try to come back fast as hell from injury.
Oh yeah,
and force a decision,
100%.
and force you to make a decision. And then what do you do?
Well, if
what
you
do
put
you
him on
come
IR,
week 10?
he's out for the whole year, right?
No,
week 15
they
or
changed
something.
the IR. They changed the IR. You have to be out. I think it's a minimum of 6 weeks.
Okay.
After that 6th week, you can come back.
Okay.
So,
I don't know.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know if you could put yourself or your organization in that situation, because that'll be a tough situation to handle. It'll be a good situation to have because you're winning football games,
Right?
But it'd be a tough situation to handle because that is Dak Prescott's team. That's Dak's team. Those are Dak's guys.
Is it though?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They love Dak Prescott.
I saw a stat somewhere where Dak is the old guy in the league. So Dak has been been at his team the third longest in the NFL, behind Aaron Rodgers, and number 2 was who was it? I can't remember who number 2 was, but Dak was at like number 3 with like 9 years. Like he's been like 7.
It's Dak's team. Those guys believe in Dak. I think if there's a high-paid player in that organization that you could let go and nobody would blink an eye, it would be Zeke.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think anybody would blink an eye if you let Zeke go.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of Zeke's year to prove, because it's kind of a make-or-break year for Zeke, I think, this year, even though we just spoke on this like last year. We had like 1,500 yards last year, 1,300 yards. So, I mean, he's still very prolific back here. So, moving on here comes to the final if and then statement of the night here, guys. So, week 1 is obviously in the books, and the AFC dominated, besides the AFC South. But the Buffalo Bills killed the Rams on Thursday Night Football, and the Kansas City Chiefs dominated the Arizona Cardinals. Both NFC teams dominating AFC teams. AFC teams dominating NFC teams, as I should say. So, Combs, if the AFC does not win the Super Bowl this year, then what?
Tom Brady won his 8th. I mean, Tom Brady is probably the only thing that's going to stop the Buffalo Bills or the Los Angeles Chargers from winning a Super Bowl this year. Both of those teams are so damn good, and they both looked so damn good in week 1. And I don't know that you're going to find a team better than those two, but if you did, it's just because Tom Brady ran nasty all over the league because it's his final season. I don't foresee that happening. I don't foresee the Buccaneers even being the best team in the NFC. And I don't think Kirk Cousins is good enough to get hot to win a Super Bowl. So I'm going to say that's the only way it happens is if Tom Brady wins his 8th.
Yeah, as many people think that the NFL is rigged like Tom Brady since he announced his retirement, that he is going to win his 8th and final rating right off into the sunset. But I'm going to go out and say if the AFC does not win the Super Bowl this season, it is because they beat each other up. Just because the AFC is so dominated, by top 9, top 10 teams, they are literally going to have to battle till week 18 for playoff sittings and home and first round bye, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the NFC is not so deep as I should say. So if the AFC does not win the Super Bowl this year, Combs, it's because they beat each other up and the Dallas Cowboys got hot.
The Dallas Cowboys got hot with Cooper Rush.
Hey, Cooper Rush apparently is Tom Brady 2.0. We heard all the memes. Drew Bledsoe gets hurt. Tom Brady comes in, leads the Patriots to the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott comes in. Cooper Rush comes in, leads the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, as a matter of fact, I know that's not going to happen. That's not what we're going to see out of Cooper Rush. I I don't see. I see what you're saying, but you get 2 weeks between the AFC title game and the Super Bowl.
Right.
So I don't think that beating each other up really is going to constitute whether or not an NFC wins this thing. The only way I mean, tell me the NFC teams you think have a legit shot. Give me 3 teams out of the NFC that have a legit shot to be in the Super Bowl.
Sure. You got the Vikings, I think, like have a legitimate shot like this year. The Rams, just because obviously the Rams are pretty damn good. I think the Eagles possibly have a shot as well. And then of course you can never overlook Tom Brady and the like, and then the Bucks. And then after that, I think it's pretty much wide open. Like it's those top 4, maybe put in the Cowboys in there. Like I don't know, but it's those for sure 4.
They're done
4 teams.
because Dak's done.
Yeah, but
so look, the Eagles are an interesting one because you really don't know what they are yet. I'm still not a big believer. I had all 3 of these teams. I had 3 teams in the NFC East tied at 9-8 atop the division.
Right.
Like it's just not one of those divisions that stands out. I don't have one team on there that stands out.
How about the Saints?
Not even the Dallas Cowboys.
Enough in the Saints.
No, look, I love
back.
me some Jameis Winston. So you pull on my heartstrings every time you bring up the Saints, and I want to be
I'm
like,
not talking about Jameson. I'm talking about Michael Thomas.
I know Michael Thomas is back, but it's not. They're not to that caliber yet, right? So for me, it's the Vikings, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's the Los Angeles Rams. And I look at all 3 of those teams, and the only out of those, it's the Buccaneers that have a chance at beating an AFC team this year. The Rams are not as good as Buffalo. Buffalo proved that on Thursday night. I mean, they went into their house on the night that they raised the banners, and they whooped that ass. Yeah. Like they did. They had no mercy, and that was a statement game in week 1. That was a statement game in week 1. You go into LA and you touch them up the way you touch them up on ring ceremony night.
Right. Yeah.
There's
I get it. But let's talk a little bit about the Buffalo Bills. I don't think week 2 is our true test because they play a Monday night game versus the Tennessee Titans, right? But I'm looking more forward to like week 5 when they're at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that is when we'll see the true Buffalo Bills come out. Are they going to be a dominant team as we think they are, or did they just happen to get the Rams on an emotional high night?
Yeah, look, they got a tough schedule this year.
Yeah.
It's not very easy, minus the 2 times they get to play the Jets and maybe even the New England Patriots. They might not be as good as some people thought this year, the way they played against the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. But I mean, they've got the Titans on Monday Night Football this week. They've got the Dolphins after that. Then they got to go to Baltimore and back-to-back road games. Then they get the Steelers, like you said, but then the Chiefs, the Packers, who we think is going to be a down year, and the Jets. But then you got the Vikings as their other out of division opponent, or out of conference opponent, I should say. So it's going to be a tough road, but they're just, to me, they're so much better. I think the toughest game out of all of them is going to be the Ravens, and then maybe even the Chiefs. But I think if you get me to week 5, I think that the Buffalo Bills are probably 4-0, and they'll be 5-0 after the Steelers heading into that game in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, as a Buffalo Bills fan, I would be very excited about this season. So, I mean, they got definitely.
Now you're a Buffalo Bills fan?
Yeah, man, I jumped on.
How many teams you got, Buck?
Listen here, my name's Drew, and I have 16. So I have a 50% chance of winning the Super Bowl. No, I'm totally kidding. But yeah, I mean, so Cindy is a huge Vaughn fan, so I did get her a Von Miller Buffalo Bills jersey. So
you think OBJ goes to Buffalo? If OBJ goes to Buffalo, it's over.
So him and Von Miller were talking after the game, right? And then he flew on a plane to Buffalo. Is that what I heard?
And Von Miller posted a photo on Twitter the week before opening week of OBJ in a Buffalo Bills uniform.
Yeah.
And said, I told you guys it was going to happen.
I mean, If it is going to happen, why hasn't it already happened?
He's probably still healing up from the surgery.
Yeah, I mean, he won't be ready till
Right.
November.
So what's the point of causing any ruckus? Let your wide receivers be happy. Let everything go down. Let's see what happens and where you're at, and then let's get Odell Beckham in here.
Like
And
he has to be signed by
will
Thanksgiving,
shut
right?
shit down with Odell Beckham.
I think he has to be signed by Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
what,
but I mean that's
cutoff is.
plenty of time. That's like week 11, week 12, somewhere in that area.
What if you are 12-0? Do you still sign OBJ?
Yes.
Do you?
If you are with the Buffalo Bill, yes. Look, I love Isaiah McKenzie as a third wide receiver so much so I picked him up. I think in 6 out of the 7 leagues that I'm in. Like I really think that this kid is good, and he had a hell of a game on opening night. But you go from Isaiah McKenzie to Odell Beckham. Like that's.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying you are wrong on the talent aspect whatsoever. Yes, Odell Beckham Jr. is probably better than him. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is not a top 10 receiver by any means. I think many people put him up on this pedestal because of the catch, right? Like 15 years ago, like at this point. But if you are 12-0, I don't think you risk bringing in somebody that could possibly cause the rift in the locker room or offense.
He didn't cause that rift in Los Angeles last year. You know why? Because he was playing with Von Miller.
They also
and you know
had
what he's going to do this year?
Tore ACL.
He's going to play this year with Von Miller.
So
Von Miller is that missing piece, and Von Miller is absolutely. You know what? Did you hear why he signed with the Buffalo Bills over going back to LA?
Why?
Because he wanted to be the first player to ever win 3 Super Bowls in 3 different uniforms.
Then he should have went to the Dallas Cowboys and take the pay cut like he said he would have.
Why? But, so he could be sitting there watching Dak ride the pine and watching Cooper Rush play.
So the reason why Odell Beckham Jr. had success in LA is because Robert Woods tore his ACL the week they signed Odell. So they had an open spot for him.
No, they signed Odell when after Robert Woods tore his ACL. Then they went out and got Odell. But Odell didn't tear apart the locker room. Odell didn't have any character flaw issues.
But there's already a receiver opening spot there.
You're going to bring him in and you're going to say, hey, Von, you wanted this guy in. We don't need any problems in the locker room. Can you keep him in check? Von Miller is going to tell you yes, and you bring in that guy because he is a number 1 wide receiver on any team in the NFL.
I disagree with that, but on majority of them, yes. Do you think Stephon Diggs would be happy about that, though? Because he's taken away food off of Stephon Diggs' plate. Like at that
if they win a Super Bowl, Stephon Diggs will not care.
What if they don't?
Stephon Diggs will not care.
What if they don't?
If they don't win the Super Bowl, then, it again depends on the fashion that they go out in. But if they don't win the Super Bowl, then you move on and you try again next season. But that team, look, what do you game plan for? If they sign Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Dawson Knox, you've got Stephon Diggs, you've got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got 2 nice running backs. Like, what do you game plan for?
You game plan for Stephon Diggs getting open in the flats and making things happen.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, there is no that signing would be absolutely sick. Absolutely sick.
I mean, now on Madden, it'd be hell yeah.
Cooper Kupp ate just fine last year with Odell Beckham.
But
Cooper Kupp ate just fine.
A slot receiver. Stephon Diggs and Odell Beckham Jr. are kind of the same Z receiver, right? Like they're the same outside guy.
No, Odell Beckham is not he learned last year in that Rams organization that he is a good slot receiver. Because he is not that guy that can go up over the top and get it like Stephon Diggs. He's not that over-the-top guy like Cooper Kupp. He's just not at that age where he can just outrun anybody. And I don't ever think he was really ever that fast that he could just outrun everybody. He was just very athletic. Yeah. And he made like 3 catches that made everybody go ooh and ah, right? Like that. And so he became a household name. But the guy is ultra talented. And God, dude, I can't even. I can't imagine anybody beating them if they sign Odell Beckham Jr.
Last year for the Rams, you only had 27 catches for 300 yards in 8 games.
Yep. And then they won the Super Bowl, and he was a stud in the Super Bowl.
Did he only have like 3 catches in the Super Bowl though?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 catches for like 90-something yards and 2 touchdowns.
True. I don't remember, but he tore his ACL in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
that's tough. Speaking of ACLs, I had 3 kids tear ACLs on Friday night.
That's brutal, man.
Yeah, we had 6 season-ending injuries Friday night.
That is tough, especially for kids that age, man. You know,
all seniors.
Ugh.
Yep. Any closing .coms if we head out?
No, Man Hour Nation, rise up.